Hey everyone, Josiah here. Welcome back to the Sakuto YouTube channel. Beating Pokemon Platinum with only a Breloom was a pretty hard one. Many fights throughout the run had Pokemon super effective towards Breloom, meaning many fights took many attempts. Moving on, today we will find out if I can beat Pokemon Heart Gold with only one Kangaskhan. Before I explain the rules, I want to know what you guys think. Do you think it's possible to beat Heart Gold with one Kangaskhan? This is probably going to be an easy one because Kangaskhan has an extremely wide moveset, TM wise and leveling up wise. Speaking of which, let's look at Kangaskhan's stats. Kangaskhan's stats are pretty spread out except for its special attack, which is only at a base of 45. There's not much more to say about Kangaskhan, so let's get into the rules. I can only use Kangaskhan in battle. I can use other Pokemon for HM use only. No items in battle, such as potions and other restoration items. Held items are allowed, however. No glitches or exploits unless you count the universal Pokemon Randomizer, and that's about it. Let's start the run. I use the universal Pokemon Randomizer to replace Cyndaquil with Kangaskhan so I can do the entire run with it. We don't run into our rival for a while. To be specific, we don't fight him until the first major city, aka Cherry Grove City. Since the game thinks I pick Cyndaquil, my rival has Totodile. At level 5, Kangaskhan only has Leer and Comet Punch, which isn't great, but it has some potential. I use Leer for several turns to lower Totodile's defense, and after a couple Comet Punches, I win the battle. In the Sprout Tower, I go through seemingly endless ramp puzzles to finally find and fight Elder Lee. He only has 2 Bellsprouts and a Hoot Hoot, so this was going to be a pretty easy fight. During this fight, Kangaskhan learns Bite, so we'll actually have something to fight people with. There wasn't too much 2 Bellsprouts and a Hoot Hoot could do against me, and after a couple Comet Punches and Bites, I win the battle. After a while, I can finally challenge Falkner. Firstly, Falkner is probably one of the most forgettable gym leaders ever. Secondly, this gym wasn't even hard because you can literally walk around every trainer in the gym. Even Falkner's Pokemon are terrible, especially for a first gym leader. Like, really, a Pidgey and a Pidgeotto? That's pathetic. I sweep through his team in only a couple turns with Bite, securing the first gym badge. I hop down a well to save some villager Slowpokes, but seriously, just look at how sad these Slowpokes look without their tails. I challenge Executive Proton to a fight, and obviously he needs to accept. Like, could you imagine if he just said no and the game ended there? He only has a Zubat and a Coughing, so again, this should be an easy fight. I instantly take out Zubat with Fake Out, so next up is Coughing. I attempt Fake Out, but it fails. He poisons me, but after a couple of bites to the face, I beat Proton. I challenge Bugsy's gym, and honestly, when I was a kid, I never knew if Bugsy was a boy or a girl. It has a Scyther, Kakuna, and Metapod, and honestly, for a second gym, this was a bit too easy. At this point in the run, I've learned Rock Tomb, so bug types aren't going to have much chance. Bugsy's team is so reliant on Scyther, so when it's taken out, Bugsy stands absolutely no chance, securing the second gym badge. After we get the second gym badge, our rival challenges us again. Earlier in the run, we had the chance to name him, so I named him Edgy, which should be pretty self-explanatory. Like, just look at him and tell me what comes to mind first. That's what I thought. In this fight, Edgy has a Ghastly, Croconaw, and Zubat. Kangaskhan is a normal type, so unless Ghastly has any non-ghost type moves, it can't hit me. Croconaw's probably the most threatening Pokemon in this fight, but it's taken out pretty quickly by Kangaskhan. After this, Zubat's sent out, but it's taken out almost immediately, securing the victory. Nothing too important happened between the rival fight and Goldenrod City, so let's just get into the Whitney gym battle. Whitney has a Clefairy and a Miltank, which is a bit weird for a third gym leader, but that's whatever. Clefairy was pretty easy to take out, but now it's time for her dreaded Miltank. Miltank really only builds up rollouts throughout the game, and the second it gets damaged, it immediately uses Milk Drink, healing up almost all of its health. I eventually take it out, and honestly this fight wasn't too hard, but if you ever Nuzlocke, watch out for Miltank if you want to keep your Pokemon alive. I make my way into the Burn Tower to find Edgy Boy. His team's pretty similar to the last fight against him, with the only difference being the addition of Magnemite. This fight did take me one other attempt before the one on your screen, but it was just because there were a couple bad RNG plays. Ghastly is pretty easy to take out and Magnemite's sent out. We both get confused, but I ultimately kill it, and Crocodile and Zubat aren't too much of a problem, so now it's time to take on the Ghost Gym. Speaking of the Ghost Gym, let's get into that fight. Morty is the gym leader and his team consists of one Ghastly, 2 Haunters, and 1 Gengar. Kangaskhan's a normal type, so Morty can't hit me unless he uses non-ghost type moves. The problem is, because I'm normal type, I can't use normal type moves against him, so I'll just have to improvise. He doesn't have too many non-ghost type moves, so this was a pretty easy fight by using Bite. I enter Cianwood City to challenge the gym. Before I explain the gym battle, I go to the furthest southwest house to pick up some guy's Shuckle to protect it from some guy who tried to steal it. This isn't too significant, but Shuckle's gonna stay with us for the entire run, and at the end of the run I'll return it to the guy and see his reaction. I'm gonna be doing this for every Heart Gold run, by the way, so just get used to it. Now for Chuck's gym battle. This fight took about 4 attempts before the one on your screen because this is a fighting type gym, also known as the only type super effective against normal. Chuck has a Primeape and Poliwrath, which again for a 5th gym is way too low amount of Pokemon. I spam Dizzy Punch and it works really well, and I only take 25 damage through this entire fight. Almost immediately after Chuck's gym battle, I challenge Jasmine's gym. Firstly, the gym layout is pretty bland and not very creative in my opinion, and secondly, at first glance, Jasmine doesn't really look like a steel gym leader and more like a normal type gym leader. Now for the actual fight. Jasmine has a pretty dry team with only 2 Magnemites and 1 Steelix. This battle took me a couple attempts before I learned I could teach Kangaskhan the TM for Fire Blast. I usually wouldn't rely on Fire Blast with its pretty low accuracy of 85%. I take out the 2 Magnemites fairly quickly, whereas Steelix takes a couple turns. After I finally take it out, I secure the Mineral Badge. I get through the Team Rocket HQ and take on Executive Petrol. His Pokemon are only like level 20-ish, which is a big downgrade from the last fight, aka Jasmine's level 30s. I don't know if I might have just done these fights in the wrong order, but who cares. Anyways, Petrol has a Zubat, Coughing, and Raticate, so nothing too special. I take out each of his Pokemon pretty quickly and win the fight. Before I can murder the Electrodes charging the big bad Team Rocket machine, I have to fight Executive Ariana and a random Team Rocket grunt. Luckily, I have Lance by my side in this double fight. These 2 foes have Drowsy, Arbok, Grimer, Murkrow, and Gloom between them, and like the Petrol fight, Ariana and the grunt have mid-level 20 Pokemon, so this fight was a pretty easy one, other than the Arbok taking a couple of turns to finish off. The next fight in this run is the Ice Gym battle. This fight took surprisingly long to actually beat, which is a bit weird because Kangaskhan isn't even weak to ice types. Price's team consists of 1 Seal, a Dugong, and a Piloswine, so he lives up to his ice type title. In this fight, I really just spam Rock Tomb and Fire Blast, so nothing too special happened. I did drop all the way to 19 HP, so this fight could have taken a lot more attempts to win. At the Goldenrod radio tower, I take on Petrol again. If Jasmine's team was dry, Petrol's team here must literally be the reincarnation of a Popeye's biscuit, with 5 Coughings and 1 Wheezing. Each of his Pokemon have some sort of explosion type move, so this fight took a few attempts. Eventually, I take out his Pokemon, but not after being poisoned and dropping to 41 HP. In the Goldenrod tunnel, I run into my edgy rival. In this fight, he has a Golbat, Magnemite, Haunter, Sneasel, and Feraligatr. Because Kangaskhan has an extremely good move variety, this fight didn't take too many attempts. At this point in the run, I have Shadow Ball, Fire Blast, Solar Beam, and Rock Tomb for my moveset, so I had at least one super effective move to use on each of his Pokemon, making this a pretty easy fight. I return to the goldenrod radio tower when I run into Proton. In the last fight against Proton, he had a Zubat and a Coughing, whereas in this fight it's almost the same, except both of his Pokemon have evolved, so nothing stayed the same. This fight was pretty easy, but it did take several turns to actually beat, along with poisoning and 163 HP. I make my way higher in the goldenrod radio tower to find Ariana again. Her team is pretty similar to the fight with her in the Team Rocket HQ, whereas the only thing different is Vileplume replacing Gloom. This fight didn't take too long to beat, but it was decently hard to avoid full paralysis. I eventually prevail after taking a lot of damage. I finally get to Executive Archer, aka the last fight of the Goldenrod radio tower. In this fight, he has a Houndour, Coughing, and Houndoom, so like most fights in this run, it's nothing too special. This fight was extremely easy with Surf because the majority of his team was super effective weak to water moves, and even when Coughing isn't super effective weak to Surf, at least he didn't resist it. Now it's time for the final gym, Claire's Dragon Gym. After 7 long attempts and 2 long days, I get this one attempt. By the way, Claire has a Gyarados, 2 Dragonnairs, and 1 Kingdra. I don't know why this fight took so many attempts, but after a while, I get the bright idea to teach Kangaskhan Avalanche. I get really lucky paralysis on Kingdra, so it can't do too much damage to me, and the rest of the fight goes pretty smoothly. I head back to Akritique City, and yeah, I'm probably mispronouncing that terribly, for the Camino Girl Challenge. There isn't too much to explain because each of these Camino Girls just have one of the 5 original evolutions. I know, Umbreon and Espeon aren't usually considered part of the original evolutions, so just go with it. These fights were pretty easy, so I'm not going to explain them in depth. Just enjoy the nice Pokemon music over the fights. Now that I beat all the Camino Girls, I get the Clear Bell. I then summon Ho-Oh with it, and I just wanted to mention how nice the animation of Ho-Oh flying around the tower is, especially for when this game was released and for being 8-bit. I challenge Ho-Oh to a glorious fight to defeat the legendary bird to assert my dominance over the entire Johto region and prove I'm the best in Johto, and I throw a Master Ball at it. As I make my way through Victory Road, I run into Edgy Boy again. His team has had a pretty noticeable upgrade since Goldenrod Tunnel, so I didn't really know how this was gonna go. Since Kangaskhan has a very good variety of TM moves, this fight was pretty easy. At this point, my moveset consisted of Dig, Surf, Avalanche, and Shadow Ball, which was good enough to beat him, even though it wasn't as good as some of my previous movesets in this run. Anyways, I won the fight, and now it's time for the Elite Four. Like I do in all of my videos, I'm just going to be showing you a montage of my best attempt on each Elite Four member and the champion. I will also put a note on the screen noting how many attempts each trainer took. Alright, just enjoy the montage. We beat Lance with extreme luck and secured my spot in the Hall of Fame. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I love it when you guys like these videos since they take super long to make. So please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you get notified whenever I upload. Oh, you thought I forgot about Shuckle? Nope. I go back to Cian Wood and attempt to return Shuckle to the guy, but he says Shuckle likes me and I should keep him. Okay, not what I was expecting. Bye.